What's up, fellow connoisseurs of fiction? It's me, Full0Grace, and today I'm going to be giving an overview of the book Percy Jackson, The Sea of Monsters. This is the second book in the Percy Jackson series. I've already done an overview of the first book. I highly recommend you watch it before proceeding with this video. Link in the description down below. Before we begin, let's quickly go over some of the characters we'll see. Most of the characters I've already reviewed in my last video. Percy, Grover, Annabeth, Clarice, Luke, and Chiron. A full year has passed between the first and second book. Percy has been living with his mom and attending a school close to home. Annabeth has been living with her dad. The Cyclops Tyson is a friend of Percy's who has been going to school with him. He has brown hair and a brown eye. He's really tall with a back covered in scars. Despite his size, Tyson is actually a little kid. He gets really scared, but he'll always step up to help Percy. Full0Grace is a daughter of Zeus. 6 years ago, she arrived at camp with Annabeth, Luke, and Grover. They were being chased by a bunch of monsters, so Thalia told the others to keep going while she held the monsters back. She gave her life in the process. Just before she died, Zeus took pity and turned Thalia into a pine tree. Thalia's tree is now the source of the magic border protecting Camp Half-Blood. Some other important names are Mr. D and Hermes. Some less important names are the Grey Sisters, Tantalus, Polyphemus, Charybdis, Scylla, Circe, and the Sirens. With that taken care of, let's get on to the actual book. We start off with Percy, who's having a nightmare about Grover being chased by a giant monster. Since this isn't the first time he's dreamt about real events, he fears for Grover's safety. But his mom encourages him to push it out of his mind and focus. After all, it's the last day of school. With a sigh, he agrees and heads off to meet Tyson. Percy is so close to making it a whole year without any problems. Unfortunately, his luck runs out at PE. During a dodgeball game, he finds out that some of the bullies are actually monsters in disguise. Percy finds himself dodging huge balls of fire. Tyson helps, much to Percy's horror, because the demigod hasn't realized that his friend isn't mortal. Percy and Tyson kill almost all the monsters, and in a surprise appearance, Annabeth takes out the last one. She hurries them out before the police arrive, but she makes it very clear she does not like Tyson. Percy just can't seem to figure out why. Annabeth reveals that she came because she's been having nightmares about Camp Half-Blood. At hearing this, Percy tells her about his own nightmares. Annabeth summons the Chariot of Damnation, which is driven by the three Grey Sisters. After a rather crazy and nauseating drive to camp, which involves threatening to throw an eyeball out a window, they arrive at camp and find it under attack from two fiery mechanic bulls. Monsters shouldn't be able to enter camp because of Thalia's tree, but apparently that's not a thing anymore. Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson rush to help Clarice and the other campers defend the camp. After the fight, they learn that Thalia's tree has been poisoned and that Chiron has been blamed for it, so he was fired. Side note, Percy finally learns that Tyson is in fact a Cyclops. At dinner, they meet the new activities director, Tantalus. For some stupid reason, the gods thought a ghost from the Fields of Punishment would be great for the camp. Mr. D and Tantalus are trying to figure out what to do with Tyson when a green trident appears over the Cyclops' head. Poseidon has claimed Tyson, so he'll be staying with his half-brother, Percy. That night, Percy stews in his anger. Someone has messed up his second home, and he's pretty sure that person's name is Luke. Percy has more nightmares about Grover. Apparently, he's been trapped by Polyphemus, somewhere in the Sea of Monsters. The Cyclops has something on his island that gives off similar magic to the lost god Pan, which is drawing satyrs to him. When Percy tells Annabeth about his dreams, she gets really excited. She figures it must be the Golden Fleece, which can heal anything, including Thalia's tree. They must sail for the Sea of Monsters, aka the Bermuda Triangle, find and save Grover, and get the fleece. They just have to find some way to convince Tantalus to give them the quest. Surprisingly, he does. Just not to them. Instead, he gives it to Clarice. That night, Percy is out looking at the ocean when Hermes shows up. The god explains that he wants Percy and his friends to go on the quest anyway because he thinks Percy can help Luke. This throws the demigod for a loop since he's 100% sure that will never happen. Nevertheless, Hermes brings Annabeth and Tyson to Percy and leaves them a bunch of supplies. They see a cruise ship called the Princess Andromeda off in the distance, and with the help of some hippocampi, they get on board. Thinking it's deserted, they hit the hay, but in the morning they're woken up with a cheerful announcement over the speakers. Good morning, passengers! We'll be at sea all day today. Excellent weather for the poolside mambo party. Don't forget $1 Million Bingo in the Kraken Lounge at 1 o'clock. And for our special guests, disemboweling practice on the promenade. To their horror, they find that not only is the ship not deserted, but it's actually the ship that Luke is using to keep his army mobile. While eavesdropping on a conversation Luke is having, Tyson uses a Cyclops' ability to perfectly mimic the voices he hears. Unfortunately, they're overheard and captured. When they're brought before Luke, the traitorous demigod reveals he has a spy at camp who has been keeping him informed. Luke also lets slip that they have powerful donors that are pulling strings behind the scenes. Last but not least, Luke tells the son of Poseidon that there's a certain prophecy that has something to do with Percy turning 16. In the background of this whole conversation sits a sarcophagus engraved with horrible events. Eventually, the group manages to escape on a lifeboat, but it's way too easy. In fact, they suspect Luke probably let them go. They bump into Clarice, who's commanding an old Confederate ship near Virginia Beach. She welcomes them aboard, and they head for the Sea of Monsters. Unfortunately, they have to pass Charybdis and Scylla. Clarice tries to shoot her way through, but that fails. Percy, Annabeth, Tyson, and Clarice are all separated just before the ship explodes. Percy manages to get to Annabeth on one of the lifeboats, but he fears everyone else is dead. The pair sail deeper into the Sea of Monsters. They have run-ins with Circe and the Sirens, gain an old pirate ship, and Annabeth tells Percy the reason she hates Cyclops. Percy also demonstrates some awesome powers over the sea. After all that, they arrive at Polyphemus' island. As they approach, they notice a lifeboat from that old Confederate ship. Is Tyson alive? Or maybe Clarice? In an attempt to avoid piranha sheep, which are a nope, Percy and Annabeth take a different route. They find themselves over the entrance to the Cyclops' cave, looking down on the weirdest scene ever. Clarice is tied up over a pot of boiling water, and Grover is wearing a wedding dress, cause apparently he's convinced Polyphemus that he's a lady Cyclops and that the goat smell is perfume. But Clarice can't keep her mouth shut and throws Grover under the bus. So Polyphemus decides he's going to eat Grover and marry Clarice instead. Percy and Annabeth decide to divide and conquer. Annabeth uses her cap of invisibility to distract Polyphemus, calling out that she is nobody. If you know the original story, then you'll understand why this infuriated the Cyclops. With the monster out of the way, Percy goes to help Grover and Clarice. But things don't go according to plan. Polyphemus is holding the daughter of Athena upside down, and when Percy gets the beast angry by claiming that he's nobody, Annabeth is dropped on her head. Grover rushes to help their fallen comrade, while Percy and Clarice attack. Unfortunately, it's not enough. Polyphemus is about to kill them when Tyson arrives. Our dear Cyclops retrieves the golden fleece, and they use this to heal Annabeth. While Grover and Clarice help Annabeth back to their ship, the two sons of Poseidon take on Polyphemus. They don't need to kill him, just hold him off till the others are safely aboard. Once it's time, they dive into the sea and swim for the ship. But once again, Clarice can't keep her mouth shut. She gives away their position, and Polyphemus takes out the ship with a huge boulder. Percy and Tyson call for backup, and some hippocampi take them back to America. They have to get the Golden Fleece back to camp ASAP, so they send Clarice off on an airplane. And just in time, cause that's Luke's cue to arrive and try to take the fleece from them. When the son of Hermes learns that he's just missed his prize, he's furious. Percy pretends to get angry and throws a drachma at the water fountain behind Luke. He then gets the traitor to explain everything and admit that he's the one who poisoned Thalia's tree. You know that. Why do you keep asking me? Because I want everyone in the audience to hear you. Time skip to much later. Everyone's safely back at camp. Tantalus is gone. Chiron is back where he belongs. And thanks to the Golden Fleece, Thalia's tree is healed and the magic border is stronger than ever. Chiron is having the tree guarded until he finds a suitable guardian. But one night, Percy's awoken by a frenzied Grover pounding at his door. All he can say is, "Annabeth, on the hill. She's lying there. Just lying there." Terror ripping at his heart, Percy runs for Thalia's tree. What he finds will change everything. If you want to know what happened at Thalia's tree, how they got away from Luke, who the audience was, how Tyson survived, why Annabeth hates Cyclops, and who Luke really serves, then I highly recommend you read the book Percy Jackson, The Sea of Monsters. In fact, go ahead and read the whole series written by Rick Riordan. Anyway, I'm Full of Grace, and I'll see you all next time.